Denmark has long been one of Europe's renewable energy pioneers. Wind power already plays a major role in the country's electricity system, but Denmark now wants to move beyond traditional offshore wind farms. Instead of simply placing turbines offshore and connecting them directly to land, it wants to create something much larger: energy islands. An energy island works like an offshore power hub. Electricity generated by surrounding wind farms is collected in one central location. Then, it is converted and transmitted through subsea cables to national electricity grids. Instead of every wind farm needing separate grid connections, multiple wind farms connect to a single offshore hub, which makes expansion easier and allows electricity to be distributed between countries. Denmark's first major project is Bornholm Energy Island. Unlike the North Sea project, this one uses the existing island of Bornholm in the Baltic Sea. Offshore wind farms around Bornholm will generate around 3 gigawatts of electricity. That electricity will then be routed to Bornholm, converted, and exported through high-voltage cables to Denmark and Germany. In total, the project could supply electricity equivalent to millions of households. But Denmark's larger ambition lies in the North Sea. Unlike Bornholm, this project is even more ambitious. Instead of upgrading an existing island, Denmark plans to build an entirely artificial island, dedicated specifically to energy infrastructure. The island would be located roughly 80 kilometers off the western coast of Jutland in the Danish sector of the North Sea. Its purpose would be to act as a central collection and transmission hub for surrounding offshore wind farms. Electricity generated by dozens, and eventually potentially hundreds, of offshore wind turbines would be transmitted to the island. From there, it would be converted and sent through high-voltage subsea cables to multiple countries. Denmark would receive part of that electricity directly, but the project is also designed as an international interconnector, which means power would not stay in Denmark alone. The current long-term vision includes electricity links with neighboring European markets, particularly Germany, the Netherlands, and potentially Belgium. Depending on final infrastructure decisions, the island could become part of a wider North Sea electricity network, connecting several countries at once. Initial capacity is planned at around 3 gigawatts, but the long-term expansion target reaches up to 10 gigawatts, enough electricity to power roughly 10 million European households, which would make it one of the largest offshore wind hubs ever proposed anywhere in the world. More than just another wind farm, it would function as a new piece of European energy infrastructure built directly in the sea. This matters for several reasons. First, scale. Offshore wind farms are becoming larger and moving further away from coastlines. Energy islands make it easier to collect and distribute that electricity efficiently. Second, interconnection. These projects turn national electricity generation into shared European infrastructure. Power generated offshore can move between countries depending on demand. And third, energy security. Europe is trying to reduce dependence on imported fossil fuels. Offshore wind is increasingly seen as part of that strategy, but the projects are not without challenges. They are extremely expensive. They require complex subsea cable systems. Grid coordination between countries is difficult, and offshore wind itself remains weather-dependent. There are also engineering challenges around building and maintaining infrastructure far offshore. Denmark is a relatively small country, but through offshore wind and energy islands, it is attempting something unusually large. Not just producing renewable electricity, but redesigning how electricity moves across Europe. Whether the projects fully succeed remains to be seen. But if they do, Denmark may help define what Europe's future power system looks like.